Control. However, that matter is going to be considered by council today. And if it does pass, then it would need to be approved by the Board of Control at a later date. So I just wanted to note that for the record and for the minutes. With respect to that, if there's any other comments to the minutes, please let me know. If not, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Councilman Minnick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. We'll move to the agenda. Director, OP Aquatics, the first item on the agenda.
Thank you. The Recreation Department has requested purchases from OP Aquatics for outdoor umbrellas, 2 for the Gemini Center splash pad and 1 for the Morton Park splash pad. If you recall, these are very large devices that are specific to the structures at the splash pad. OP Aquatics was the lowest of 3 quotes. One from Pro Pool and Spa for $14,900 and one from BG Contracting LLC for $15,700. The existing umbrellas are over 12 years old and have sustained damages that prevent their future safe use and must be replaced. And because we anticipate a little higher than normal participation perhaps in outdoor activities after this long pandemic, we're requesting approval for this expense at a cost of $13,550 from the Recreation Fund.
Any questions on this item? If not, I would take a motion to approve.
So made.
Director Single, is there a second?
Second.
Director Riley, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Items approved. Next item, Pioneer Athletics.
Pioneer Athletics, the Recreation Department has requested a purchase of field products, conditioning materials, red clay packing, drying agents, compounds for the surface clay, and other materials for our baseball diamonds. The anticipated purchases are necessary for these diamonds to be functional, but also to meet the standards for league play and some of the high school competitive uses that we see, especially at Vulcan. But these materials would be used throughout our many baseball diamonds at Vulcan, the high school, and Tri-City Park. Approval for purchasing materials for $5,582.40 is requested from the Recreation Fund.
Okay, any questions regarding this item?
Yes, Mayor.
Councilman.
Director, reference to the 2 baseball diamonds at the high school, are those owned by the school, or we just own the football field? Is that correct?
I would defer to the mayor on that. I believe they're all under our control for maintenance and operations, but.
That's correct, they are.
The 2 baseball diamonds?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I would accept a motion to approve this item.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Single. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Items approved. We'll now move to item number 3, Smith and Obie, 2 repairs at City Hall. In consultation with Director Costello and Director Single, I know that these funds will be coming out of the general fund. Director Costello?
Yes, they would come out of the general fund. These are for repairs for City Hall, 3rd floor equipment, the chillers. There are 2 air handlers that have their own condensate trap, which is pressurizing water that overwhelms the drip pan. This we're referring to as a repair will cost $3,437. But in addition, while that work is going on, there are problems with the cooling tower pump valves and strainer. It's been determined that 2 valves are requiring repair, And a strainer needs to be added so that debris doesn't enter the system and cause the system to shut down. It's been something that's been occurring regularly. The cost for those repairs is $9,506. That totals $12,943. And again, this service, the work for these services, these repairs will be paid from the general fund for the municipal buildings.
Any questions with regard to this item? Is there a motion?
So made.
Director Single, is there a second?
Second.
Director Riley, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think Director Single has an interest in that item, as it typically rains down in his office when there's an overflow. So it's
I'm looking at a damaged tile right now.
I don't see an umbrella in there, so hopefully
Right.
it's
I'm
not
gonna
that
get one.
happens. Yeah, we just approved of. Maybe you can borrow some of
I'm
those
gonna get the old
umbrellas.
one that we did, from the ones we just proved. I'm gonna get an old
Yeah.
one from the wreck.
We'll move on to the next item. That is Sedgwick compensation for third-party management services, the Bureau of Worker Compensation Issues, which is also going to be coming out of the general fund. Director
Correct. This-
Costello.
This request is for compensation for services provided by this third-party provider to assist us, the city, for Bureau of Worker Compensation issues and matters that involve public employees. It'll be effective from September 1st, 2021 and valid for policy year 2022. Costs for renewal are $5,040. And again, funds for this will come from the general fund.
Any questions with regard to this item? Hearing none, I would take a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Councilman Minnick, is there a second?
Second.
Director Single, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Items approved. I don't think we have any other items with respect to the Board of Control, so I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Minnick. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Single, thank you. So we're adjourned at 6:40. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Hi, Liz, how are you?
Everyone.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Bill.
Evening, everyone.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Well, Mike,
How's everyone doing?
Good, thanks.
good. Looks like we got a storm rolling in here.
Yeah, it's looking dark out there.
Yep.
I just got a wind. It's fast.
Good timing.
Yeah, it was a good day though.
Was it a picture window or just
No, I'm replacing 7-year-old steel casements with just new casements, new Anderson. casements.
okay?
That's a project with a big ticket on it.
Yeah, it's a project getting the old ones out. I mean,
Yeah.
they're bricked in and they're embedded in the mortar, and it's a lot of work.
It'll be worth it once it's done.
It will be. Probably take me off summer.
Mike, are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir, whenever you're ready. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I call to order a special committee meeting for the purposes, well, I should say local government and community services begins at 6:45 p.m. The purpose of this special committee is to break the tie on our 5th nomination, hopefully to break the tie. So I would like to keep it simple tonight. We have 2 people that we are trying to decide between, and I think what I will probably do is just take that vote. So at the conclusion of last meeting, we had a unbreakable tie between Ms. Kelly DeBay Gillis and Mr. Matt Rebar as to who would be our 5th appointment to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. And so what I would like to do now is go around the table, and those are your 2 choices. I'd like you to vote for one of them, and then we will see at the end who we will nominate this evening. So give me 1 second. Okay. So if I can go around the table, Brian.
Matt Rebar.
Thank you. Bill.
Kelly DeBay Gillis.
Thank you. Maureen.
Matt Rebar.
Thank you. Myself, Matt Rebar. Bridget. Oh, Bridget, are you frozen?
She looks frozen.
Let's give her a minute, see if she pops back.
Technology's great till it doesn't work, huh?
Right. Okay, well, Bridget might be our tiebreaker this evening. Let me just start. We'll see if she's going to log back on. Greg?
Matt Rebar.
Mike?
Kelly DeBay Gillis.
And then I'd like to give Bridget a second to come in and vote. But at the moment, we have Matt with 4 votes and Kelly with 2 votes. So let's give Bridget 1 more minute for the audible vote. Bridget, are you there?
All right.
Sorry.
Hello?
Hi, Bridget. You froze for a minute.
Okay. I would like to vote for Kelly.
Kelly, thank you. Okay, so it looks like Matt received 4 votes, Kelly received 3 votes. Matt Rebar will receive the appointment this evening. That being said, I vote to leave local government and community services. I'm sorry, I vote to leave the issue of systemic racism in committee for local government and community services. I'll take a vote on that. Brian?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Sarah? Yes. Bridget?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And Mike? Local government and community services ends at 6:48 p.m. then. Thank you guys for your time this evening.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. Did everyone get a chance to look at the meeting minutes we have up this evening for approval? I know, I'm sure each and every one of you read every last word. But thanks for getting them all together, Liz.
No problem.
Okay, and then we have committee reports tonight. Sarah, you have 2, I guess, huh?
I do, and I'm almost done with the second one. We're good.
All right, very good. Okay, everyone's set with their legislation for first reading. Bill?
Yes.
Bridget?
Yep.
Legislation for second reading.
Yes.
Yes.
And we have 2 pieces of legislation for passage without 3 reads.
Yes.
Anyone have any questions on either of these pieces of legislation? More specifically, the construction administration legislation. Any questions for the administration?
Council President Cobain, I'd like to address that and then just kind of that whole issue in general. But if somebody has a specific question first, I'd be happy to take that.
Yeah, I'm just interested, Mayor. probably a dumb question, but we're hiring a consultant now, but I mean, it seems like all the work has already been approved and contractors have been chosen. Why are we looking for a consultant at this part of the game?
Well, it was part of the project from the get-go. Unfortunately, there was, how things were prepared. The ordinance was approved, and, so this contractor, we had proceeded with approving the contractor, but we had not properly referenced, the amount of the contract and noticed that there was a change in it. And so from the beginning, this was something that had been contemplated, having an inspector on site to inspect the work that's being done, and then also to work in conjunction with the contractors. So while it does seem like it's at the tail end, it's at the tail end because we didn't address it properly going forward. And I apologize to council for that. I know in the last meeting we had talked, there were some questions and talk about ordinances being repealed and replaced, and also items being passed less than 3 reads. Excuse me. I understand the concerns of council with respect to that, and I share those concerns. I spoke today I've been talking to my staff about addressing these issues going forward, that this is not to occur unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance. We have discussed some new procedures that will be in place to hopefully eliminate these types of requests of council. Number 1, repealing, replacing, and number 2, asking for passage in less than 3 reads. So with respect to this item, because it is such a large project, it's the resurfacing of 210 between Lorraine and Mastic. Obviously, the construction season is awaiting us. This contractor will be the party that conducts the pre-construction meeting, and they are needed in order to get the project going. I'm asking that this be passed with 1 read today. A lot of the scope of the project has been reviewed by council, by the Board of Control prior to tonight's meeting. But again, the amount of for the services for DLZ didn't match up with what had been passed in prior legislation, which is why we're coming to council today. So I apologize for that. And we're going to be working on avoiding these type of requests in the future. And again, because of the importance of this project and we're going to have a lot of work going on, construction work going on the roads this year. We'd like to get this stuff going as soon as possible. So I don't know, Council President, if that answered your question specifically. If it didn't, I apologize and be happy to address any other concerns.
No, that was good. Thanks, Mayor.
Council President.
Yeah, Liz.
Okay, so on your agenda, this is correct, but on the outline for council, that first passage without legislation is one that we're passing on first read. That is actually Councilman Minnick and not Councilwoman King.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So Councilwoman King, you have ordinance 2122 only.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Also, Mayor,
Yes.
yeah, we never received a letter requesting the passage of the solid waste.
Okay. Sorry.
So, I mean, we can amend the agenda and put it up for passage tonight if you would please get us that. I'd appreciate it.
I'm sorry, if I could get it to you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
Is everyone good with that,
Yes.
council?
Yes.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to amend the legislative agenda to also put solid waste ordinance on passage this evening as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so we also had, Bill, you have an ordinance for third and final. And Bridget, you have 2 ordinances for third and final as well.
Yeah.
You have,
I have amendments on one of them, Mike.
okay, sounds good. All right. Sarah, during second time around, you're going to be doing the official appointments for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition.
I am. I plan to do them each separately.
That's fine. Okay. Brian, do you have anything for roundtable?
I just had a quick question for Mary Kay. I had someone reach out about yard waste not being picked up today. I didn't know if that was similar to last week where they were going around, or if it was just isolated, that maybe that person put it out too late or something.
Might have been an isolated miss. Do you happen to have an address? You can let me know where that's at, and I'll make sure it's collected tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure. That's all. Thanks.
Okay. Bill?
Nothing, Mike.
Maureen?
Yes, thanks, Mike. Mary Kay, if I may ask a question, please. I know we spoke earlier about, the Bain Park bathroom and discussing, the possibility of examining the location more. Would you please be sure to, keep me posted so I can see, or if you're meeting with the engineer or going there to discuss any sort of plans, just keep me aware so I can be there as well.
Absolutely. I'll be at the Parks and Rec Commission this Wednesday.
Okay.
So that's at the Gemini. And there'll be a short presentation about the location and some of the details.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
It's a public meeting as well.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's all, Mike.
Okay, Marie, thanks. Sarah?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Bridget?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Greg?
Nothing, thank you.
Liz?
Nothing.
Okay, we'll start the meeting in a moment.
Hey, Liz,
Uh-huh.
I have a question for you about the legislation with passage without 3 readings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the 210, the resurfacing of 210. Is that 2130?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then that under the description, you have Bain Park, the restroom at Bain Park.
Gosh, why do I keep doing that?
Typo.
Without 3 reads, I see West 210 and Massac resurfacing on there.
Well, maybe I have the old one then.
I'm going off what's on the city website. So maybe there's varying.
I might have pulled the one
You're
from,
right. You're right, Bridget. Thank you.
There's an error in for tonight's script.
All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. Meeting of the Council of the City of Fairview Park from Monday, April 19th, 2021 is now called to order. A moment of silence. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Simmerly.
Here.
Mr. Minnick.
Here,
Mrs. Adler.
Here.
Mr. Cobain.
Here.
Mrs. Waring.
Here.
Mrs. King.
here,
Mr. Berger.
Here,
Okay, the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meetings of council of February 1st, February 15th, March 1st, March 15th, and April 5th, 2021.
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
yes,
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mr. Cobain.
Yes.
Mrs. Waring.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes,
Mr. Berger.
yes.
Okay, we'll now have this evening's committee reports, beginning with Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development. Councilman Minnick.
thank you, Council President. The Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, Development Committee met on Monday, April 12th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via telephone, video conference, via Zoom, and live stream via city YouTube channel to discuss ordinances 2117 and 2121. Ordinance 2117, repeal and replace plans and specifications for water main and repavement projects. There were comments referenced to repealing legislation. Public Service Development Director Costello clarified the reasoning for repealing ordinance 2049. This project involves water line replacement and pavement resurfacing. The Finance Director needs authorization to use the Street Maintenance Fund, Fund 210, for the repavement resurfacing, and a Water Line Reconditioning Fund, Fund 550, for the water line replacement. Subsequently, Ordinance 2117 accomplishes this change. Motion to place Ordinance 2117 on third reading and up for passage was approved 6-0. Ordinance 2121, repeal and replace plans and specifications for Bain Park restroom. Once again, legislation is being repealed, namely Ordinance 2048. Public Service Development Director Costello stated, the only change is the funding for the city engineer. Ordinance 2048, the funding was from the Recreation Fund, Fund 230. Ordinance 2121, the funding will come from the Permanent Improvement Fund, Fund 260. A question was asked, since Council approved the budget for 2021, would it be necessary to make any adjustments to respective accounts? And the reply was no. Other questions were asked reference to the new restroom, and Director Costello stated Council would be informed of changes. Because of the pending developments of this project, a motion to place ordinance 2121 on second reading and return to committee was approved 6-0. This completes my report, Council President.
Okay, we will now have local government and community services. Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you, Council President. The Local Government and Community Services Committee met on April 12th via teleconference beginning at 7:36 p.m. The committee discussed one issue, the city's response to systemic racism. The chair began by thanking the coalition applicants for their time and the ideas that were brought forth during the interview process, and the council and the administration for their support and dedication to many hours of interviews. The chair recognized that each applicant who interviewed for the coalition brought specific strengths to the table, including education, life experience, and a desire to help our community move forward. The chair recognized that she is grateful for the decision on who to nominate and that it's going to be difficult. The mayor thanked all of the individuals who interviewed, and he stated he was grateful for their positive nature. He nominated William Iman, Felicia Munez Davenport, Jennifer Kramer, and Bunda Ross to the coalition. The mayor announced that city employee Kathleen Fayen is going to serve as the liaison between the administration and coalition. Her role will be to take notes and help facilitate getting information or questions answered. The mayor indicated that he is going to open each of his departments up to the coalition for a synopsis of what they do and answer any questions they might have. Councilwoman King asked what might happen if one of our nominees declined the nomination. The chair suggested that we would further discuss the process during the next caucus meeting, likely choosing the person who received the next highest vote count. Councilman Berger broached the idea of expanding the coalition to include all of the applicants. It was discussed that it would be difficult to maintain quorums due to aligning the schedules of more than 20 people. It was affirmed that the meetings will be public and additional participation is not only allowed, but welcomed for this coalition. The nomination process began with each council person providing their 10 picks for the coalition. The chair tallied the votes, and there were 4 individuals who received the majority of votes. These individuals were identified as Dr. Carolyn Benyon, Heidi Lang, Peggy Schauer, and Heather Schneider. The individuals who tied for 5th place were voted upon again, resulting in a 2-way tie. A vote between those 2 individuals were also resulted in a 2-way tie. As there were only 6 members of council present, there was no way to break the tie. A motion was made to accept the 4 names that were voted in the majority and to schedule a special committee meeting to decide between the 2 tied individuals. The motion passed 4-2. A motion was made to keep the issue of the city's response to systemic racism in committee, which passed 6-0. Local government and community services ended at 8:18 p.m. The Local Government and Community Services Committee met for a special committee meeting on April 19th, beginning at 6:45 p.m. The committee discussed the issue of the city's response to systemic racism. The committee discussed the 5th and final appointment to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. A vote to appoint Matt Rebar passed by 4-3. A vote to leave the issue of systemic racism in committee passed with a vote of 7-0. The Local Government and Community Services Committee concluded at 6:48 p.m. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Waring. Okay, Finance Committee report. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. The Finance Committee met via video conference on Monday, April 12, 2021 at 7:11 p.m. In attendance were members of council, Mayor Cooney, Director Costello, Director Singles, and member of the community. Ordinance 2119, authorizing agreement with City of North Olmsted for jail services, and Ordinance 2120, authorizing agreement with City of North Olmsted for police dispatch services. These 2 ordinances remained in committee because there were a few outstanding questions. Director Riley and Mayor Cooney had answers that adding North Olmsted to our insurance will not change our current cost or our current coverage, and that there's no need to make a new ordinance or to amend our current one. It was asked if North Olmsted's mayor and council is in favor of this move, and Mayor Cooney told council that all indications is that they are very supportive of this endeavor. A motion was made to put ordinance 2119 on 3rd read and final passage, and it passed with a vote of 6-0. A motion was made to put ordinance 2120 on 3rd read and final passage, and it passed with a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 2122, authorizing trade-in and purchase of mowers. Director Costello explained how Fairview Park has 719 acres of public property, and working mowers are an important piece of equipment to maintain all this land. This was planned last year, but was pushed off due to COVID. We are receiving a great trade-in and a substantial warranty from a reliable vendor on mowers that were made in the USA. A motion was made to put ordinance 2122 on emergency passage at 2nd reading, and that passed with a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 2123, authorizing extension of contract with Republic Services for solid waste disposal. This is our last year to renew the current contract with Republic, and it will expire on June of 2022. A letter to Republic was due on April 1st stating that the city did intend to renew this contract. There will be no changes in services offered. Looking ahead, the mayor and Director Costello would like to invite Solid Waste District to speak to council on trends and forecasts for the future. Director Costello is watching other cities as they renegotiate contracts this year. A verbal request was made to have this item be passed on emergency passage after second read, and administration would send a memo stating why to council this week. A motion was made to put ordinance 2123 on emergency passage after 2 reads, and that passed with a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 2124, authorizing acceptance and administration of the 2021 NOPEC Energized Community Grant. In the past, this grant money was used for roofing projects. The grant can be applied to any project that offers a better overall use of energy. Director Costello explained that there is not a definite project yet. This money will be set aside for a larger scale project in the future. A motion was made to put ordinance 2124 on second and subsequent third read, and that passed with a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 2125, authorizing participation in cooperative purchasing programs. This is a standard operating procedure piece of legislation. By having a cooperative purchasing agreement, the city will get the best prices offered. A motion was made to put ordinance 2125 on second and subsequent third read, and that passed with a vote of 6-0. Ordinance 2126, authorizing the sale of obsolete city vehicles by Greater Cleveland Auto Auction. Director Costello discussed how the city currently has a 1997, 2 1999, and an out-of-service 2008 vehicle that the city would like to sell. The out-of-service vehicle will be towed by auto auction, and they will handle all sales. The proceeds from the sales will be deposited in the Permanent Improvement Fund, Fund number 260. A motion was made to put ordinance 2126 on second and subsequent third read, and that passed with a vote of 6-0. The Finance Committee concluded at 7:36 p.m. And this concludes my report.
Chair will entertain a motion to amend this evening's legislative agenda to move ordinance 2123 from second read to passage without 3 readings.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Council President,
Councilwoman King?
was the memo received?
No, it wasn't, but I just asked the mayor to please get it to us.
I just emailed them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Mayor.
Thank you for your consideration.
Welcome. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk, please call roll on the motion to amend the agenda.
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Sorry, yes.
Carries. And we'll now begin this evening's legislative agenda with legislation for first reading. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. I have an ordinance for first read.
The clerk, please assign a number and read the title.
Ordinance 2127, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilman Minnick, co-sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Development to engage McKay Engineering and their respective consulting experts to assess erosion in Coe Creek and Bain Park.
Thank you. Ordinance 2127 is placed on second reading and placed on first reading and sent to the Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 ordinances up for first read tonight.
Okay, would the clerk please assign numbers and read the titles?
Ordinance 2128, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Development to purchase pavement marking services and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2129, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King, co-sponsored by Councilman Minnick. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Development to purchase traffic signal parts and materials for various traffic and pedestrian signals in the city of Fairview Park and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ordinances 2128 and 2129 are both placed on second read and first read and assigned to the Finance Committee. Okay, we'll now have legislation for second reading. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2121 on second reading.
Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 2121, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilman Minnick, co-sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance repealing and replacing Ordinance 2048 and authorizing McKay Engineering and Surveying Company to prepare plans and specifications and provide construction administration and procurement services for the relocation and reconstruction of a restroom at Bain Park and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Ordinance 2121 is placed on second reading and returned to the Environment, Public Works, Planning, Zoning, and Development Committee. Councilwoman King.
Council President, I have 3 ordinances to be placed on second reading tonight.
Please read the titles.
Ordinance 2124, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance accepting the 2021 Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council Energized Community Grant to provide financial assistance for energy efficiency projects or energy infrastructure improvements, and authorizing the city administration to file all documents and execute all agreements necessary to receive any awarded grant funds and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2125, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing city directors to participate in various cooperative purchasing programs and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2126, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Development and the Director of Finance to sell obsolete vehicles from the city fleets through the Greater Cleveland Auto Auction and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. The ordinances 2124, 2125, and 2126 placed on second and subsequent third reading. Okay, now it's time for audience input on legislation that's up for passage. Clerk Westbrook, have we received any communications? Anyone wishing to comment or question legislation that's up for passage?
No, I have not.
All right, thank you. Okay, Councilwoman King.
I would like to place ordinance 2122 up for emergency passage tonight.
The clerk, please sign a number and read the title.
2122 is what she's putting up. Okay. Ordinance 2122, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing purchase of mowers for the Fairview Park Service Department and declaring an emergency.
King.
Council President, I would like to make a motion to suspend the charter provision in Rule 49 requiring 3 reads.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
yes,
Carries. Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2122, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2122?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
yes,
2122 passes. Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to place ordinance 2123 up for emergency passage.
Okay, would the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2123, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract extension with Browning Ferris Industries of Ohio Incorporated, a subsidiary of Republic Services Incorporated, and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. I would like to make a motion to suspend the charter provision in Rule 49 requiring 3 reads.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
yes,
Okay, motion carries. Excuse me. Okay, prior to call for passage of ordinance 2123, is there any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2123?
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
No.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
yes,
2123 passes. Okay, Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. I have an ordinance be placed before council for emergency passage.
Okay, would the clerk please assign a number and read the title?
Ordinance 2130, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilman Minnick, co-sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance, I'm sorry, that's not right. Hold the line, please. Requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilwoman King, co-sponsored by Councilman Minnick. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for construction administration and inspection services with an Ohio Department of Transportation pre-qualified consultant for the resurfacing of West 210th Street from Mastic Road to Lorraine Road as approved by the Board of Control, and repealing and replacing ordinance 2019 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. I move the charter provision of Rule 49 requiring that the ordinance be read at 3 reads be suspended and then be placed before council for emergency passage.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Carries. Councilman Minnick?
Thank you. I move that Rule 53, requiring reference to committee, be dispensed with and the ordinance be placed on final passage.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yeah.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2130, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll for passage of ordinance 2130?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
2130 passes. Okay, we will now have legislation for third and final passage. Councilwoman King?
I would like to place ordinance 2119 up for third read and final passage.
Okay, would the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2119, requested by Mayor Cooney, sponsored by Councilwoman King, co-sponsored by Councilwoman Waring and Councilman Minnick. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park to enter into an agreement with the city of North Olmsted to provide jail services by the city of North Olmsted for the city of Fairview Park and declaring an emergency.
Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2119, is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2119?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Ordinance 2119 passes. Councilwoman King?
Thank you, Council President. I would like to place ordinance 2120 up for third read and final passage.
Will the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 2120, requested by Mayor Cooney, sponsored by Councilwoman King, co-sponsored by Councilwoman Waring and Councilman Minnick. An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Fairview Park to enter into an agreement with the city of North Olmsted to provide dispatch services by the city of North Olmsted for the city of Fairview Park and declaring an emergency.
Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2120, is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2120?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
2120 passes. And that concludes our legislative agenda for this evening.
Council President,
Councilman Minnick?
I believe we have ordinance 2117 to pass on third reading.
Which ordinance is that, Councilman Minnick?
2117.
What is the title?
It's
It's the water.
It's the what?
Repeal and replace plans and specs for water main and repavement projects.
It's on the agenda, Mike.
Yeah, I see it on the agenda as well.
Mine. All right, I apologize. Go right ahead, Bill.
I'd like to place ordinance, thank you, Council President. I'd like to place ordinance 2117 on third reading and up for passage.
Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 2117, requested by Mary Kay Costello, Director of Public Service and Development, sponsored by Councilman Minnick, co-sponsored by Councilwoman King. An ordinance authorizing McKay Engineering and Surveying Company to prepare plans and specifications and provide construction administration and bidding services for water main replacements and pavement resurfacing on Cromwell Avenue, Parkwood Avenue, and Bain Park Drive, and repealing and replacing ordinance 2049 and declaring an emergency.
Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2117, is there any discussion?
Council President, I'd like to amend ordinance 2117.
Go right ahead, Councilman Minnick.
Okay, on page 1, section 4 is now section 3. On page 2, section 3 is now section 4. Section 4 is now section 5, and section 5 is now section 6. Thank you.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion to amend?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane. Mrs. Waring.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Motion carries. Prior to call for passage of ordinance 2117 amended, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on passage of ordinance 2117 amended?
Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane. Mrs. Waring.
Yes.
Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
That concludes our legislative agenda for this evening. We'll now have reports by the mayor and his directors. Mayor Cooney, if you're ready.
Thank you, Council President Kilbane. Good evening, everybody. On May 4th of this year, we have two issues on the ballot. We have issue 2, which is a fire levy, and issue 3, which is street repair program income tax renewal. Passage of both of these issues will not result in a tax increase. Issue 2 provides 12% of the funds for the operations of our fire department. And issue 3 directly funds our road rehabilitation and resurfacing. This year's projects that will be funded through issue 3 include West 210th, and thank you for council for your consideration with respect to that project from earlier today. But it will involve the funds related to this. Issue 3 will be used on West 210 between Lorraine and Mastic, for North Valley Drive from Story to West Valley, on Eastwood from West 210 to West 204, Eaton from West 213 to West 220, West 229 from Lorraine to Westwood, Brookway, and Bain Park, Cromwell, and Parkwood Avenues from West 210 to West 213. And I'd like to remind those voters who live in Ward 1 that you will be voting at the American Legion Post 138 in this election. Speaking of the fire department, last Monday, 31 people sat for the test. The results will be certified later this week, and we will keep you posted on those results. The building department, planning and design has 6 items on its agenda this Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and the property maintenance program continues on West 210th Street. The senior life department, the concert with Jeff Varga that's scheduled for this Thursday at April 22nd has been moved to accommodate the weather that will be coming, that's predicted for Thursday. As you may recall, Jeff is going to play in the parking lot. He's just going to play on Friday where the forecast is 60 degrees as opposed to Thursday where it's wet, snowy, and cold. So we appreciate Jeff's accommodating us, as well as O'Neill Healthcare's support and flexibility with the state. And we're hoping that the forecast is accurate on Friday because he does a great job. This party in the parking lot is a little foreshadowing of other events that will be taking place in the parking lot. On May 10th, we'll have parking lot bingo. And on May 21st, there'll be an outdoor trivia event. If you can contact the Senior Center to sign up for these and other programs with the Senior Center. The rec department on this Wednesday at 6 o'clock, there'll be a rec commission meeting at the Gemini Center. The Bain Park restroom that council considered earlier will be one of the items on that agenda, as will be some public art at the at Bulkin Park. I appreciate the Ryan Graff for the schools, and it's going to be busy. He's going to be at the Rec Commission meeting at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and then they're going to be on the agenda at 7 o'clock with the planning and design. I think we've positioned them so they'll be first up for the rec and maybe a little later on the docket for planning and design. But excited for them to coming to present to both commissions, and really appreciate Mr. Graff's work on this, as well as the students and Councilwoman King for her work on this. Last week, the state late in the week issued some recommended protocols with respect to the operations at gyms, pools, and spas. Director Kemp and his staff are reviewing these recommended protocols, and we'll be providing updates in the near future. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've always looked in addressing these things at what is the safest option for our members, our employees, and staff, and that will be at the forefront going forward. So there should be some updates with respect to programs and operations at the Gemini Center coming up here in the near future. One thing that does remain in effect is that masks and social distancing are still required unless somebody is actively exercising in the Gemini Center. The following registrations are currently open: Safety Town, Summer Camp, and baseball and softball. I'm told that Safety Town, baseball, and softball for the younger kids had a lot of interest. So if people are interested in that, I would encourage them to sign up in the very near future. This Saturday, April 24th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is National Drug Take Back Program. That will be occurring here at City Hall by the Sallyport. Members of the police department and our auxiliary will be here to collect items. Individuals can just drive up, and we do have a drop-off in the lobby of the police department, but on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. individuals can drive up and drop needles, prescription drugs, be it in pill or liquid form, to the police, and they will properly dispose of that. With the service department, I was recently informed that Key Bank will be consolidating its bank branches on West 220 and Center Ridge Road. Both of those branches are located in Fairview Park. They will be consolidating on Center Ridge Road by Westgate. We've reached out to representatives of Key Bank and Lamar and have not heard back from them. And we will, Lamar owns that building where the branch is on 220. And if we have anything, when we have something further to report, we'll share that with you. I would like to congratulate Matt Grandel from the Service Department, who on receiving his Ohio pesticide applicator license. Matt was something that he took on his own initiative, and we appreciate him doing that. It allows him to apply and pesticides where necessary throughout our parks and our city. I appreciate him taking the initiative to do that. He's a great worker and takes a lot of pride in what he does. He does great work in our parks and really appreciate his efforts. So congratulations, Matt, and thank you. I'd also like to congratulate Community Planner Monica Jordan, Director Mary Kay Costello, City Arborist Mike Varga, and the Shade Tree Advisory Committee for receiving a $46,000 grant from the Cuyahoga County Healthy Urban Tree Canopy Program. That's quite a mouthful, but they received this grant for trees at Bain Park and surrounding streets. So I know they worked very hard on that, and I really appreciate their efforts. And we're excited for some of the ideas that they have with respect to that grant. I'd also like to congratulate that group again because they also secured another tree canopy grant, this time at Tri-City Park. Community planner Monica Jordan worked in conjunction with the cities of Rocky River and Westlake to secure a grant for nearly $27,000 for some trees at Tri-City Park. So excited for their efforts and exciting to be working on restoring our tree canopy here in the West Shore. I'm happy to report that the grant request prepared by Monica, Director Costello, and City Engineer Kim Kerber for the Cuyahoga County Supplemental Grant at Vulcan Park has been recommended. We are waiting County Council approval with respect to that, and we're optimistic that it will be approved, and that's the grant that will be connecting the trails at Vulcan Park. And then finally, we have another successful grant from that crew, Community Planner Jordan, Director Costello, and City Engineer Kerber. This time they were successful in getting a recommendation for the Cuyahoga County Community Development Block Grant. That's a recommendation for sidewalks on Eaton Road from 210 to Mastic. There were a number of submissions from the county, and their submission scored number 2 throughout the county. So that's exciting. I appreciate all their efforts on that. I certainly would like to thank the county for their support of the tree canopy grants and these community block grants, as well as supplemental grant. I know with respect to the block grants on Eaton, that the county's support of Mastic Road as well as Mastic Hill was very important, and we were able to leverage that work that they've done there to secure this funding. So we're optimistic that it'll be approved by County Council. It was scored the second highest in the county. So thank you to all of them for their efforts, and thank you to all of you, and have a great night. Thank you, Council President Kilbane.
Hey, Director of Public Service and Development Costello.
Thank you, Council President. I'm pleased to announce that the Mastic Road Hill remaining work to be done will ensue this spring. The county and Kokosing plan on closing the road, however, to finish this work from May 7th through June 11th. This work is weather dependent, involves fencing, street markings, and landscape restoration along the project zone. So we will keep you advised in that regard. And we still have a few plows on our vehicles, so we'll be ready for Thursday. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Gotcha. Finance Director Single.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, all members of council and those watching and listening online today. Just one item, the 2020 audit continues, but there are no updates at this time. And that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Law Director Riley.
Thank you, Council President of Council. I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. City Engineer Kerber.
Thank you, Council President Cobain. We continue to work on the numerous projects in the city, waterline, streets, Bain Park, and we will continue to do so. I didn't want to go into a lot of detail, but we're working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer. Okay, it's time for the public session. Clerk Westbrooks, is there anyone online or has anyone contacted us to speak this evening?
No.
Thank you. All right, so we'll have miscellaneous business and comments by members of council. Councilman Simmerly.
Thanks, Council President. As Mayor Cooney said, the Rec Commission will meet this Wednesday at 6 o'clock, Gemini Center. And then also, I just wanted to thank everyone that applied for the DEI Coalition. It was great to meet with everyone and everyone's interest in joining. And I hope, if those that weren't selected will still participate and help out this great coalition. I know they have a lot of work ahead of them. So thanks again, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Minnick.
Thank you, Council President. The Board of Control met this evening, Monday, April 19, 2021 at 6:30 via Zoom to discuss 4 issues. OP Aquatics, purchase for outdoor umbrellas, 2 for Gemini Center and for the splash pad, and 1 for Morton Park splash pad. OP Aquatics was the lowest of 3 quotes. One was $14,900. The other was $15,700. The existing umbrellas are over 12 years old and have damage that prevent their future use and must be replaced. The city anticipates higher than usual participation in outdoor activities this summer as the pandemic concerns will linger. Motion to pay OP Aquatics $13,550 from the Recreation Fund, $230. Building maintenance was approved 5-0. Pioneer Athletics, purchasing baseball field products, conditioning materials, red clay packing, drying agents, compounds for surface, clay materials, and so forth for the baseball diamonds. Anticipated purchases are necessary for the baseball diamonds to be functional for recreation and league use. Motion to purchase the materials from Pioneer Athletics in the amount of $5,582.40 from the Recreation Fund, $230, was approved 5-0. Smith & Obie, 2 repairs at City Hall. Air handler condensers, trap repairs, require repairs to the third floor chillers so that each of the 2 handlers has its own condensing trap, which is pressurizing water that overwhelms the drip pan. This repair will cost $3,437. The cooling tower pump valves and strainer project repairs. It has been determined that the 2 valves need repair and the strainer needs to be added so that debris does not damage valves further. Costs will include a thorough cleaning and repair to damaged components in a water tower pump. This will cost $9,506. This work must be completed before the water tower is filled for AC use during warmer weather. Motion to pay Smith & Obie $12,943 from the General Fund Municipal Land and Buildings Maintenance Facility account was approved 5-0. Sedgwick, compensation for third-party management services for assistance with Bureau of Workmen's Compensation issues and matters that involve public employees. This will be effective from September 1st, 2021 and valid for policy year 2022. The renewal cost is $5,040. Motion to pay Sedgwick $5,040 from the General Fund Bureau of Workmen's Compensation account was approved 5-0. The 6 items for the Plan Design Commission: 21984 Lorraine Road, review a plan for patio and fence. 19050 Lorraine Road, review a plan for signage. 20455 Lorraine Road, review a plan for generator. 22610 Lorraine Road, review a plan for signage. 21571 Lorraine Road, review of plans for exterior renovation, new construction, and fencing. And the last is 3885 West 210th Street, Boken Park, review of plan for exterior paint. And I too want to thank all their individuals who applied for the coalition. And it's too bad we can't have 23 of them on the committee, but we agreed tonight. That's all I have. Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Adler.
Yes, thank you, Council President Kilbane. I want to echo the sentiments of the other councilmen with regard to the DEI coalition. We had an impressive showing of applicants, and I hope they take advantage of the fact that the public is welcome to continue to be a part of it and participate with the leadership of the 9 that we've chosen. I want to also thank Councilwoman Waring for determining, what was a very involved process, and that she put in a lot of time, energy, and thought into trying to figure out how to make this, a fair process and one that would keep our city moving forward in this whole topic. And so thank you, Councilwoman Waring. Kudos, as Mayor mentioned, to all the grants that were obtained by Monica Jordan, Director Costello, Engineer Kerber, and others. It's all this money that's out there that they are working hard to find and to get for our city, that keeps also our city, just making forward progress to be the best it can be. And then I want to thank the mayor for his prompt meeting of both Councilman Berger and myself at Bain Park to understand, a little bit more about this Bain Park bathroom project. I also, if Mr. Gilbride is out there listening, I had told him I would call him if I was meeting. I did call him, but just so Mr. Gilbride knows, his voicemail box is full. So you might want to look into that for the future. Thank you. And that concludes my remarks.
Councilwoman Waring.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to echo what the rest of my council mates have said. I am so excited for our Fairview Park Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. As I've mentioned before, we had fantastic interviews and a very, very difficult decision to make. But to Councilman Minnick's point, we did agree on 9. And so this evening, I would like to nominate the 5 members coming from council. So I would like to make a motion to nominate Dr. Carolyn Benyon to the Fairview Park Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition.
So moved.
Second.
Do we need to take a vote?
Yes, we do.
Do we have to do it one at a time?
Yes, I think we should.
I think we should as well.
Okay, want to call roll on that? Dr. Benyon?
Does Liz do that or do I do that? Does it matter?
You can do it.
Miss-
It's fine.
Oh, okay, I can do it. Mr. Simmerly. Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mrs. Waring, yes. Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane.
Yes.
Thank you. I'd also like to make a motion to appoint Heather Schneider to the Fairview Park Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mrs. Waring, yes. Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane.
Yes.
I would also like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Heidi Lang to the Fairview Park Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mrs. Waring, yes. Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane.
Yes.
Thank you. I would also like to appoint Mrs. Peggy Shower to the Fairview Park Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. Mr. Simmerly.
Yes.
Mr. Minnick.
Yes.
Mrs. Adler.
Yes.
Mrs. Waring, yes. Mrs. King.
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane. I believe that was a yes. And I would also like to appoint Mr. Matthew Rebar to the Fairview Park Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Coalition. Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring, yes. Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger,
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane. Thank you. All motions to appoint were passed 7-0. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Benyon, Mrs. Schneider, Mrs. Lang, Mrs. Schauer, and Mr. Rebar to our coalition. Thank you very much, everyone, for the time and effort that you have put into this. Thank you.
Councilwoman King.
Thank you, Council President. This Wednesday, April 21st at 7 p.m., there is a community council meeting. And I just would like to echo what has been said before. Great job, Sarah, on putting together this coalition and keeping us on track. It was a lot of work and you really did an outstanding job. And I am very excited for our 9 new members to see what they're going to do for us and how they're going to make Fairview Park a little bit better. So thank you everyone who applied, and I look forward to working with you. And that is all.
Thank you. Councilman Berger.
Yeah, just send appreciation to everyone who applied. I really enjoyed all the conversation and the discussions that we had with that. Thank you to Mayor Cooney for meeting with Councilwoman Adler to discuss the restroom. And I will say that the phone call Miss Councilwoman Adler made where the voicemail was full, I was a witness to that, so I can confirm that did occur. And then the only other thing that I have is the Fairview Park Education Foundation has a golf outing Saturday, July 10th of this year. The deadline to reserve your spot is July 2nd. So if anyone would be interested in that, I would sign up. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there being nothing else to come before this council this evening, the chair will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Clerk, please call roll.
Liz, you're on mute.
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Cobain,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
Okay, council is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.